Hello, my dear students. I hope you all are fine and doing your studies at your home. So, my dear students, this is your subject teacher of science, and today I'm here again with a explanation of remaining topic from your chapter number 12, that is Explore Beyond the Sky, from your science textbook. So all of you take out your science book and open page number 98. So students, in our previous video we had covered the topic all about the space, first person on the moon and life on the moon. Students, in this video we are going to discuss the topic travel to space. Since the first person walked on the moon, hundreds of satellites have been sent into orbit around the sun, Earth. And hundreds of people have been into space on lots of different types of spacecraft. Out of billions of people who live on the Earth, only 535 have been into orbit, and only 12 have ever walked on the moon. The moon is the only place in space apart from Earth that humans have set foot on. There is no air in space, so astronauts have to take air with them from Earth so that they can breathe. If they want to go outside their spacecraft, they have to wear special clothes called a space suit. So students, as you know that human beings had always dreamed of going to the space or moon, but this dream came true in 1969. Neil Armstrong was the first man to step on the moon and said that one small step for moon on giant leap for mankind. Students, hundreds of satellites have been also sent into the orbit around the Earth, and hundreds of people have been also sent into space on different types of spacecraft. Out of billion of people who live on Earth, only 535 have been into orbit, and only 12 have ever walked on the moon. The moon is only the place in space from Earth where humans have set their foot. And there is no air in the space, so astronauts have to take air with them from Earth so that they can breathe in space. And in space, astronauts wear a special suit outside the spacecraft that is specially designed for space. So students, a space suit is a special airtight cloth that keeps an astronaut safe and warm outside their spacecraft. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is Indians in space. So students, look here. Rakesh Sharma. In April 1984, Rakesh Sharma became the first Indian to go into space. He went into space in a Russian spacecraft. Students, Rakesh Sharma became the first Indian to go into space, and that year was 1984 month April. Next Indian is Kalpana Chawla. So Kalpana Chawla was the first Indian woman to go into space. She went in the space shuttle Columbia in 1997. She went into space again in 2003 in the same space shuttle, but she died when her space shuttle crashed on 1 February 2003, just before landing on the return journey. My dear students, Kalpana Chawla, the first Indian woman to go into space for the first time in year 1997, and she went again into the space in year 2003 in the same space shuttle, but she died when her space shuttle crashed on 1st February 2003, just before landing on the return journey. Now students, next Sunita Williams. Sunita Williams was the second woman of India origin to go to space. She stayed in space for 194 days. She held the record for most spacewalks taken by a woman. She is also the first ever person to run a marathon in space. My dear students, Sunita Williams, another Indian woman, stayed in space for 194 days, and she was the second woman of Indian origin to go to space. And she also held the record for most spacewalk taken by a woman. And she is also first ever person to run a marathon in a space. Students, these was the Indians in space. Students, we have to proud of our country because these great personalities of our country. Now brush up. Cross the odd one out. Students, here you have to cross the odd one out from the given word set. First is spacecraft. Second, spacesuit, space and space shuttle. So, students, here you have to cross the odd one out. Students, look here. Spacecraft. It is a special vehicle to go into the space. Spacesuit. It is a special designed cloth to wear outside the spacecraft. Space shuttle. This is the name of spacecraft, and space, that means this is all about of space. So students, here odd one out is space, because spacecraft, spacesuit and space shuttle is made by human and space is natural. Next is Sunita Williams, Neil Armstrong, Kalpana Chawla and Rakesh Sharma. So students, here Neil Armstrong was the first person to go to the moon, and Kalpana Chawla was the first Indian woman to go into space, and Rakesh Sharma was also the first Indian to go into the space. But Sunita Williams was the second woman of Indian to go to space. That means here odd one out is Sunita Williams. All three are first and Sunita Williams is second. So that's why this is different. So you have to cross Sunita Williams. Okay. Next is Great Bear, NASA, Apollo 11 and United States. So students, NASA, Apollo 11 and United States. All these are related to each other. Great Bear, it is the name of a constellation. So that's why here odd one out is Great Bear. So you have to cross Great Bear. Okay. So I hope you understood this. In first, odd one out is space. In second, Sunita Williams, and in third, Great Bear. I hope you understood it with the reason also. Now let's reflect on. So students, the explanation of this chapter is completed. Now let's reflect on. Beyond the layer of air is space. So students, first of all, tell me the layer of air is called. So students, the layer of air is called atmosphere, and beyond the atmosphere there is a space. Okay. Next is the earth pulls everything towards itself, and this force is called the force of gravity. So students, in this chapter, in topic all about the space, we had discussed about something special about the earth, that is force of gravity. So that means when, look here, this is the earth, and when we throw a ball up in the air, it falls back. So why this has happened? So this is due to force of gravity. Students, so here this is due to the pull that is known as force of gravity. Man went to the moon for the first time in a spacecraft called Apollo 11. Students, as you know that the United States was the first country to send humans to the moon in year 1969. NASA sent the spacecraft Apollo 11 to the moon. The moon does not support life as there is no air and water on it. The students, as you know that there is no air and water on the moon, so that's why life is not possible on the moon. Rakesh Sharma, Kalpana Chawla and Sunita Williams are the Indian people who traveled into space. Students, this was the summary of this chapter. You have to read this chapter very carefully, and you have to remember all the terms and the year, including the name of spacecraft and the first person gone to the moon and the name of the Indians in space with the years and the time period. In our next video, we will discuss about the exercise of this chapter. Now, your turn to study it and grasp it. Do all the works that is given on your WhatsApp group. Thank you, students. Bye and take care.